All right, we are live streaming. It is Wednesday, May 18th, 2022. Heather Stocking with the Athabasca Advocate here with Town of Athabasca Mayor Rob Balay. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks for asking.
Good. So let's just get right off the hop here. There's something coming up with the Healthcare Attraction and Retainment Committee.
Yeah, so we're putting on a recognition event to, show our appreciation to all the healthcare providers in our community, and that's all extending, I guess, from the hospital workers to the health unit workers to the doctor's offices, the chiropractor offices, the physiotherapists, the massage therapists. So we're going to hold an event on June 10th between 11 and 1:30 or on the riverfront. We're going to cook some hot dogs, give away some refreshments, and maybe the bad part about it is maybe the Reeve and the mayor will say it will make a speech, but we'll keep it short, I promise. And so we're just hoping that people will come out and just show their appreciation for the healthcare workers and what they've gone through in the last these last couple of years especially, right? So
that's a nice idea.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. There's I don't know if this is new. I can't remember if we talked about it before, but the tri-council meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the town, the county, the village of Boyle. Is that a new thing or something that?
No, it's I think that's been going on for quite a while. I think we meet more often than they used to in the past. We've committed to meet at least 4 times a year, and sort of how the process goes. It's rotated as to who hosts it, and Boyle hosted the first one, and they put on a nice event. But I think we upped them by a little bit with our event. So the pressure will be on the county next, and basically it's each municipality gets to put on, I guess, agenda items or talk about things that affect the entire region. And so we have a good, open and frank discussion, and from those, some directives move forward into next year's budget and planning for that. So it's a really good exercise, and I can see us continue it on in the future. And sort of out of this also is spun. I think our 3 CAOs are going to get together on a monthly basis, and I guess make sure that they're meeting, and I think that's a good thing too. So.
Okay. So like one of the things that you guys discussed at the last one was like emergency preparedness, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, that's because it's a regional thing, and also how we can share our resources, not just for emergencies, but in operations as well, to be more efficient and take advantage of efficiencies. And we talked about economic growth, how we can I guess initiate more traffic to our community. So in that regards, so we started discussions on that and forming a strategy for that as well. That's sort of outside of TED as well.
Oh, okay.
And TED being the Tourist and Economic Development Committee.
Right. So what do you mean outside of TED? Like hiring a consultant or something?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we would consider, right? That would be specific, that would be well connected in both government and industry, and who could bring opportunities and industry and business to our region. So that's really never been done in the past. So it's time to start thinking along those terms. That's kind of the way business is done these days. So we gotta either get on board or get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm originally from Barhead, and in the days of Ken Kowalski, he was a very good MLA, and a lot of industry got sent to Barhead. The lottery factory, ADLC, which is now closed, the Alberta Distance Learning Center, but it was there for years. There's lots of things that, government can send your way if
Yeah,
you have the right people there.
and things just don't fall on your lap. You have to make them fall on your lap, and I think one of the things we learned through our AU campaign was that lobbying does work. You can get results. So this is just in a targeted in a different area.
Okay. The tri-council meetings, are they closed? Or when is the paper going to get the invite?
Oh, well, I mean, basically we have we get together and it's a bit of a social dinner. We have a dinner with it. So I don't know. We just always considered it sort of a non-official greeting. So
Okay.
I can't commit to when that's going to happen. So,
All right. Well, I'll just put you on the spot.
okay. Well, you did. Thanks.
I have to keep you surprised somehow.
Yeah, you do.
The water intake, there's been some issues there. It's kind of extended that project a bit.
Well, the divers were in and did the repair. So that portion of it is looked after, I guess, is completed, but there are other things that we're still waiting on. There's been some deficiencies on the pumps and the seals leaking. So I think the solution that they've come up with has worked on the first two, but they have to repair all three. And there's I think a generator that's still yet to arrive. So we can't have, I guess, completely commission the project yet as complete, although we are pumping water up through the pipe to the holding pond up at the water treatment plant. So I mean, it is functioning right now.
Okay. Is there an expected timeline of when it will be complete?
Nothing's been set in stone. It'll depend on when those pieces arrive and when the contractor can get them installed and final commissioning can happen.
Okay. Last night at town council, the Athabasca Cares Homeless Society was there there was a proposal for ATCO trailers and some staff and some land. Is there a concern that this is going to turn into a NIMBY situation? What is the town's commitment to helping with the homeless shelter?
The town's commitment is to actually provide a piece of land that they can lease to house the structure, and it's a temporary structure. It's on skids. It can be moved easily in or out. There'll have to be power run to it. For heating, it will be heated by propane, so we won't have to worry about extending natural gas as a service. So, and there's still a long ways to go to complete, to make this project real. There has to be some funding that would have to come through from the province, but the group is working hard. I guess lobbying the government not just the government but the community. Getting letters of support, getting commitments, so that they can take that case and provide a budget to the government that shows the need that the government needs to invest in this project, to help with the homeless situation in our community. Okay. So I've talked to the MLA and he's aware of it, and he'll be waiting for that information, and hopefully he'll be able to come through and get some funding for us, at least to initially start. So
okay. Is there a concern that there doesn't seem to be a lot of buy-in from the business community at this point, or do you think that will be coming?
I think that's coming. I think the first step was if we don't have a place to put it, then everything else, there's not much sense advancing the rest of the project at that point. But so now we've come to the, council agreed to enter into a negotiations to lease that property on a temporary basis. I don't know whether it'll probably be a 1 to 3 year lease to begin with.
Okay.
And then from there, the group can then they'll have traction and can start checking off all the other boxes that need to be to make this project a reality.
Okay. Where is the land?
I guess if people are familiar with the old Knights of Columbus Park, so that would be so where the old Pleasant Valley Lodge is, which is currently the Athabasca Reformed Church, it would be straight south of them in that open park area. So
is that where that kind of gravel secondary road
yeah. So that would be sort of the temporary access we would have. Right now we have that the access blocked off, but for the winter season we would allow access so that we could get in and out to that structure, and the town would provide snow removal or snow plowing to get there as needed.
Okay. Why was that location chosen?
I think because it's central and to the community, still easy to walk anywhere, and it's somewhat because of the NIMBY not in my backyard thing. It's fairly secluded. It's not really impacting residential, and it will have some impact on the church, but not significant if the access is from the south and not through their property. So
okay, so it won't be necessarily visible from the highway. It'll be behind some trees. Is that what or will it?
Yeah, you probably won't be able to see it from the highway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was thinking it was going to be more visible, but yeah, a little farther back.
No, because it's further back. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. The other concern that was brought up last night, and I mean, it's a bit maybe controversial. Did the town admit to something that might end up costing them money regarding the approach in the industrial area? Is that private or is that town property?
No, it's town property.
Okay.
To me, there was never a question as to whose responsibility it was. I always felt it was the town's responsibility. It's our storm system on our right of way on our land, and to me, it was never the responsibility of the property owner to repair that. And we did repair it. The town did repair it once in 2013. So, I mean, there was precedent set then that this it's our infrastructure. If that was our water line that was there, we'd fix it. If it's our sewer line, we'd fix it. If it was a curb and gutter, we would fix it because it's within our right of way.
Okay.
So to me, it was clear cut.
Okay.
Well,
We'll back up a little bit and give a little historical. So behind that industrial area that's behind Cal Tire, is when you go into not all the properties, right? But some of them would have that culvert running underneath the entrance, and some of them they'll bulge up. Not all of them, but some of them bulge up. So I know, like at the Jewel building, that one lifts, and it's quite a speed bump when you go over it, and this one as well. So I know there was a lot of discussion about who actually owned the land and who was responsible.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely own the land, and I believe we're definitely responsible. So in the end, that was the decision council made, and it's in my mind, it's the 100% correct one. Okay. And we will fix it.
So you said it was done in 2013. Is there a way to fix it so that you guys aren't doing this every 9 years, 10 years?
Definitely. I mean, I don't think that the size of culvert that is put there is required. And, I think that will help significantly. And also, I believe probably will run some insulation and make sure there's proper drainage so that that doesn't happen. And yeah, I'm confident that it'll be done right this time.
Okay. Speaking of things that maybe weren't done right, there's you got some surprise news about the right of way with the bridge out towards the landfill area.
Yeah, so we're currently, we have our fence for the waste, the transfer site. Apparently it's about 3 meters at the south end onto the highway, the new bridge road right of way. And so in I think at the end of May, the consultants and Alberta Transportation informed the town and also the Waste Commission that that fence would have to be moved outside of the right of way. There was some confusion because the company that came in and put in the new power lines also put it in the wrong place. So, you know, there's a bit of debate going on now as to whose responsibility and who made the mistake in the first place. So we don't really feel that this is something that we should be taxed with for the cost of moving the fence and permanently relocating it later. So we're in discussions with Alberta Transportation regarding that right now.
So this is
Our CAO is anyways.
CAO. Okay.
He gets to do that. Yeah.
So this is on the east bank, that where you would pull in and do the
So it would be the west fence line of the transfer station. So it's on the west side of 813 going towards the golf course.
Oh, so it's the big section, not where you would dump your compost and stuff. Okay.
No, it's where, yeah, it's the big transfer site. Yeah.
Okay.
Where Blue Heron is.
Right. Okay. And so, so they're wide, like, I don't, can you explain like what's happening?
Also, that's where the
Widen
service
it?
road, so that's where the service road will go now. In order to access the waste transfer site and even the road to the welcome sign now, you'll have to go all the way up to where the golf course entrance is and then come back down along the highway to access all of that. And so where that access road goes, that's where the right of way is 3 meters. Where our property or our fence line is 3 meters, approximately 3 meters on the right of way.
Okay. All right.
Which affects the sloping. They tell us. I think that they could get away by not doing anything, but we'll see what happens. I mean, that's up for negotiation now, and it's not going to hold the project up. The project's still going to go ahead. There's plenty of time to resolve this. I mean, it's a 3-year project, right?
Yeah.
So it'll get resolved.
Okay. There have been a couple comments lately about what's going to happen with the old bridge, and a couple people have said that the town should take that on and maintain it.
In my opinion, not a chance, because the liability and the maintenance for that would far outweigh any, I guess, benefit that I see us doing that. And the new bridge is going to have a pedestrian walkway on it. So, you know, we can build trails to it, and then on the other side, using the new bridge. So to me, it wouldn't be worth the cost for the historic effect of that bridge. I mean, that's my opinion. It's not the opinion of council.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It would be expensive to maintain, though.
It would be, yes. Yeah. And I'm scared about the liability in the end if something happened.
Yeah, exactly. Pitch-in day maybe wasn't promoted as much as it could have been.
No, I think that yeah, we were, we did promote it to some degree. Is it enough that, obviously we need to do a better job of that if we're going to get our community more involved, because what we didn't work. So, I mean, that's obvious.
So how
But
many people came and picked up bags?
no one,
No one. Okay.
not even, so, no, yeah. So,
So so
there's no
no one
sugarcoating
on
it. So, I mean,
council, even Mayor Balay didn't pick up a bag?
no, he didn't. He was busy doing something else that weekend, unfortunately.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
we did discuss that we need to do better in that regard, and we're talking about something this fall possibly, and making sure that we do a better job of that.
Okay. Have you guys thought of, I mean, Cornwall's a bigger area, but East Hill versus West Hill or something, just to do a challenge?
Yeah, we talked about that, and but I guess unless we're willing to actually, promote that and spend some money and get out there and issue a challenge and get it in the paper and maybe on the radio or something, it's hard to communicate that even through social media. I think you can't just do it in social media. I think it has to be a bigger campaign than that.
Yeah.
And maybe just the initial campaign has to be that, and then people will know, okay, this is going to be a yearly thing, and to look forward to it. So we might have to invest a little bit to get that first initial campaign to be a success. So
Okay.
we'll look at that. But not to be controversial, but it does seem that there's far less participation when it comes to our community, when it comes to things like that as well. It seems like there's just not the will to do that anymore as much as there was in the past. So I guess if we have to sort of try and create that will, we might have to do that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, growing up, well, 4-H, I was in 4-H, and there's always the 4-H
Me too.
cleanup and stuff. So yeah, you do these things. Yeah.
But we used to get our schools to go and do that, and then that, so that got young kids involved in thinking about that, and not just the ones that are in 4-H.
Mhm.
So we've quit doing that, and yeah, I think it's just a sort of that's the way generally society is heading. So
Yeah, unfortunately, I would agree. But you guys did spend some money last night, or donated some money towards the chamber.
Yeah.
They came and asked.
So the chamber came forward and with a request for their parade route, which is this year going to be slightly different than in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. It's basically the same route, just in a little different order. And then they've decided to take over the fireworks display. So the money that we had earmarked for the River Rats organizing committee to do that will now go towards the chamber, so that they can carry that on. And so yeah, it'll be, I'm sure they're going to do a great job, and it'll be as good as ever. But
Yeah.
we're happy to do that. That's a big day for us, and as a council, I think we have to make sure we participate in that.
Yeah. I know on behalf of the River Rats, they're very happy to hand over organizing the fireworks. It's one less thing on their plate.
Yeah, and this being sort of the anniversary year, they've probably got a little more on their plate than they normally would. So I'm thinking that that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that because you're involved. So
yes, exactly. AU, did you just did an interview, didn't you, again, about AU?
Yeah, it was a magazine, I guess, that is strictly about universities across Canada. So they were interested in our lobbying efforts, and And so we talked about a few things, and I guess you'll have to just, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. You'll have to wait for the interview or the article to come out.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Last week, a little controversy came up with staff saying that AU has installed spyware on their computers. AU says, well, it's not spyware, it's security. And did you hear about that? Do you have any concerns?
I did. To me, I don't really have a comment on that because that's the university's prerogative. I'm not going to tell them how to run their operations in that regard anyways. So, I have my thoughts in other areas, but for them, that's, I think that's an issue between management and staff and the union. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. What is it? Monastic Isaac Architects. They have an $18,000 quote regarding the brick school. What was that for?
So the quote was to help for writing the grant and doing all the research for the grant, doing some engineering studying, also for the insulating inside the building, and basically it's to help attain up to a $3 million grant, and it's a matching grant of it's 80% government funded, 20% matched. So, if we were successful in getting the whole thing, we could probably do our project, the complete project, well within the budget money that we have. And we do not have the expertise on the committee or administratively to do this. It's a very complex grant. And, the grant extends to 2026, so there's not a big urgency of, lots of grants. Sometimes you have 30 days to get everything in, and it's, so we want to make sure that we do this right so that we can actually move that project forward. So I think it's a good investment to spend that money to try and get that grant money. So.
How much is the quote to completely redo? Because there's abatement, right? You guys have to do asbestos abatement.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what the end use is of the facility, but in the Monastic Isaac report, if you go by their report and what their cost estimate was to do the project that was put forward was about just over $3 million.
Okay. So 20% of 3 million would be a lot less.
a lot less.
Yeah,
so to me, it's worthwhile trying, invest in that money to try and get as much 80% funded money as we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, $18,000 would be a good investment if you could get that grant. All right.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. We didn't get any questions. We have had a couple likes, but
oh well, I guess we're doing something.
We're very good at explaining everything. I think we're too good at our jobs. We don't leave questions.
Okay, let's go with that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, thank you. I think you guys, there's no council meetings July and August, right? So we'll probably do one more of these.
Yeah, no, there's one in July and one in August.
Oh, is there one? Okay.
Yeah, we always have one. It's scheduled in the minutes. So.
Okay.
No, we never get away without having one. So we have to have one. But we do cut back to 1 a month on those 2 months. So.
Oh, okay. So instead of 2, just 1. All right. And then I guess I'll leave it up to you if you want to. We'll just do one more in June and wait till September since you're only having the one meeting, July and August. But
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
It is summertime,
It is summer. I don't want to take up any golfing time from you.
Well, yeah, you would be doing that. That's true.
We
have a short golf season, right? So we got to take advantage of it.
Exactly. All right. Well, I look forward. We'll see you in a month.
Okay. Great. Bye-bye.
Bye.